Honourable Speaker, but just on a practical issue, I just want to wish everybody happy Valentine's Day. With all the seriousness of the business, happy Valentine's Day. Now, Honourable Speaker, now we also agree that the program should be approved as tabled here. And we again reiterate the appeal that tomorrow we must go in as a joint house, united in our purpose of a motion of no confidence, without us having to bicker over anything. We will have different reasons why we do not want the current president to continue in office, but I think those reasons will express on the floor, but there should be no need for points of order, etc., and that the only business of the day should be as prescribed there. So we support the entire program as tabled. Thank you.
Did you say as a joint house? Because it ought to be the National Assembly that deals with the motion.
Yeah, no, I said joint, meaning parties must be joined. Yeah, joined.
All right. Honorable Shibambu and Honorable Kubisa.
No, thank you very much, honorable speakers. We agree as well on the proposed program that on Thursday we deal with the motion of no confidence, and Friday, State of the Nation address, of course after the election of a new president, and then Monday debate, Tuesday response, and then Wednesday the budget speech by the new Minister of Finance. And then we'll then be able to deal with all of those issues. But the emphasis that we had placed in the Chief Whip's Forum was to say that let the ANC be open with its proposed amendments to the motion so that we do not have unnecessary wranglings in Parliament of voting of the amended motion and all of those things. Because I think all of us agree on the essence of the discontinuation of the presidency of Mr. Jacob Zuma. So let us just deal with it in that way. And then lastly, Speaker, can you please express your view in terms of whether the motion will be decided upon through a secret ballot or an open vote, so that we know, all of us, in terms of how we should proceed in that regard. Thank you.
In my letter to the EFF leader, I did say that the decision will be arrived at openly. Honorable Dudley, Honorable Kubisa, and Honorable Kwankwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just to confirm that the ACDP does support the proposals, but also just to make sure that we're talking about a plenary tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and then we're talking about a morning plenary on Friday, going on to the evening. Or so if we can just get some idea, I think it will help people be prepared and plan. Thanks.
Honorable Kubisa.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The National Freedom Party also concurs with the program, and I believe that we together as a collective act with responsibility for the sake of our people who have been languishing in anxiety. So we believe that the program will expedite these matters, and we ensure that our people are coming out of this anxiety or able to serve our people. So we support the program in total. Thank you very much.
Honorable Kwankwa.
Speaker, thank you very much. As the United Democratic Movement, we indeed also agree with the proposed program, because we want the business of Parliament to resume again so that we can focus on matters that affect South Africa and her people rather than focusing on petty political issues. I think that what is important, what I would like to also stress, that as a party, it's important that we get the proposed amendment from the African National Congress in time so that we too can apply our minds to it before we go to the House, so that we go to the House united on the issue and the objective that we seek to achieve. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mulder.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we should not go lightly over what's happening at the moment. It's not the first time that we have scheduled motions of no confidence. But we should remember it's the first time since 1994 that the ruling party proposes what is now being proposed in terms of the program, with the moving of the motion of no confidence in the program and the election of a new president on Friday, etc. I think we should, for a moment, just ponder about the significance of what's happening. From Freedom Front Plus's point of view, we support the amendments to the program, and we think it's the necessary and the right thing to do. Thank you.
Can you give some clarity, Honorable Chief Whip, on the questions that have been raised relating to what's being proposed for Friday and whatever activities of that particular day?
Yeah, no, Honorable Speaker, in the program, we are proposing that on Friday morning, you have two sessions, basically. We have a morning session that elects the president. Again, that is premised on the availability of the Chief Justice or any person designated by the Chief Justice. So that, yes, indeed, we'll have two sessions. One session to elect on Friday, another session in the evening, SONA, the State of the Nation address. On the amendments, indeed, we will make the amendments, but we'll first engage with the EFF so that we find one another on the wording of the actual motion, because it's a motion that is being brought. There is a motion on the table, and that motion is being brought by the EFF, and our rules allow the ANC, or any party for that matter, to make amendments. So we will then make those amendments. We do have the amendments. They will not come tomorrow. We will not take the House by surprise. We will first speak to the EFF, then we'll make the amendments available to everybody after we have engaged with the EFF. But fundamentally, Honorable Madam, the ANC would like the people of South Africa to stop their anxiety in what's happening in our country. We would like all of us to move forward. Indeed, we would like Parliament to continue with its business. That's why we are putting forward, again, in consultation with everybody else, this program, so that Parliament, as a house of the people of this country, is not seen to be in limbo, and we can't be seen to be in limbo. So from that angle, we really appreciate that all parties are in agreement with this program. But secondly, Honourable Speaker, we should thank you for bringing forward the motion of no confidence that the EFF has put to tomorrow. Because again, all these matters give certainty to what's happening in the country and to what's happening in our Parliament. Thank you.
Thanks. Honorable Steenhuisen?
Madam Speaker, just some guidance from you, if I may. And we need to make sure that whatever steps we take, that they're not challengeable at any stage, because I've no doubt that the person who the subject of today is, may be looking for every loophole. And may I suggest that tomorrow morning's NAPC, it's no longer required because we've got this today. But in order to square off the joint sitting planned for Friday night, that we have a JPC tomorrow morning in place of the NAPC, just so that we can tick that box that we've complied with the rules relating as they relate to joint sittings.
I was about to allow Mr. Kaso to talk about that in order that we ensure that we have a basis for the Friday activity. So I'll ask him now to do that before I recognize Honorable Singh.
Indeed, it is correct. We have conferred with my colleague from the NCOP, and we're arranging for the JPC to meet tomorrow at 8:30 to take a decision on SONA. Chief Whip has already stated the issue of about Friday morning, that the sitting is subject to the availability of the Chief Justice or a judge designated by the Chief Justice. Thanks.
Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We're living in times of uncertainty, and 1 hour is a long time in politics at the moment. They say 24 hours is. I'd just like to know if the person who is the subject of the motion of no confidence makes any dramatic announcement tonight of a resignation, then do we still meet in plenary and say that the matter is no more on the table, or how do we proceed for us to know?
We would come together to decide on how to proceed. And I think that it would be simpler. And one of the options that, from the point of view of where I sit, would be a favorite option, is to proceed with an acting president into SONA and the budget speech. Dispense with all of that along the lines of the same program of Monday, one-day debate, Tuesday, acting president responding, Wednesday, budget speech. Then he can deal with the rest of the other business that has to do with whatever juggling in the executive. But we in Parliament dispense with this program that our people have been sitting anxiously waiting to hear when are we coming back to them. So if we do get that letter, we had already consulted with the leader of government business and the chief whip that that would be the most direct way of dealing with the program that is sitting around waiting for certainty. So that's one basket of issues which would await the ideal receipt of a letter. But should things not go our way, we proceed at 8:30 in a joint program committee to create an agreed SONA and the other activities that are dependent on the availability of the Chief Justice. I see Honorable Steenhuisen and Honorable Shibambu.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I don't want to unnecessarily complicate it, and I think we're dealing with a lot of hypothetical situations. But I do just feel that I want to put on the table our party's view on that matter before I get accused of as that option. I think it would be far more desirable, while it's legally competent for the acting president to deliver the SONA, and 92 of the Constitution is very clear on that. I think it would be undesirable for an acting president to deliver a SONA. I think it would be presumptuous, and I think that the process of the House should have followed. I accept that these are interesting times and moving targets, but I do just want to place that our preference would be for a swearing in and for the president to deliver the SONA, because we are then able to hold him accountable for the duration of the year.
Honorable Shibambu.
Thanks, Speaker. So I think the view that we should take is that if he falls on his sword tonight, we must continue with the joint programming committee tomorrow at 8 in the morning and still convene the meeting on Friday to elect a president. So the only thing that will shift will be the motion of no confidence on Thursday. And then on Friday, we still convene in the morning to elect a president, and in the evening take the State of Nation address from the elected president instead of an acting president arrangement. And then we proceed with the program as initially proposed. I don't think that we have to reconvene again when he resigns. We can just proceed taking note that he has fallen on his own sword, and then we'll proceed in that particular fashion. Sure.
Honorable Frolic and Honorable Kwankwa.
No, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, I think in preparation for tomorrow's joint programming committee, there's just a few legal and constitutional issues that we will probably have to look at outside of this meeting in terms of convening a State of the Nation by a president. And we will probably then be in a better position to give that legal certainty in terms of the proposal of not an acting president delivering SONA, but a newly elected president. Usually what happens is, honorable members, the president writes to the presiding officers and requests a specific day and time for SONA. But those are matters that we can deal with outside of the meeting.
Speaker, you see, oh, sorry, thank you very much. You see, Speaker, the key issue here is that we are trying to address or deal with this issue of uncertainty that we've already created in South Africa. And as we align ourselves with the proposal that is made by Honorable Shivambu, because we feel that it would create certainty. What we need is to make sure that, say, on Friday, then we did elect a president and we don't have an acting president delivering. So I think that is important, because I think that is the issue that concerns South Africa. I understand where you're coming from entirely, and that's a proposal we want to agree with. Thank you.
Honorable Chief Whip, hopefully will be the last speaker. So,
No, Chair, we are in agreement. The Parliament has a program before it now. If any elements of this program become superfluous, by all means, but other elements still continue. I therefore align myself with what Honorable Shivambo has said, that if for some whatever reason we do get a letter, love letter coming to you, oh, it's Valentine's Day, by the way, we do have a letter coming to you, all fine, but we still have a Friday. We will understand if we no longer have any sitting tomorrow, that there is no need for a sitting tomorrow. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
honorable members, thank you very much for this very efficient meeting. Thank you very much.
And that's where we're going to leave it there at the National Assembly. The National Assembly Speaker speaking there to the chief whips of the various parties, and pretty much in consensus in what looks like is going to be a unanimous decision tomorrow in terms of a vote of no confidence. And they were just crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and they're going to be making sure that there's no legal misstep in the process of getting the president, the motion of no confidence passed tomorrow. And then what they'd like to do is make sure that the process moves very quickly afterwards, that by Friday morning, actually, they'll be electing a new president of the country. By Friday evening, there's a State of Nation address. On a Monday, that there will be a debate on that, and that will create an opportunity for the budget speech to happen next week. So a lot happening, and it all depends, I guess, on what happens today. The president earlier on said that he will make a statement. This afternoon, he spoke to our senior political reporter, Mzwandile Mbeje, and shared his thoughts with us. And he said essentially that he didn't understand why he was being removed as president. He felt that the decision was wrong, and that he wasn't being defiant, but just disagreed, and he needed to be persuaded, and that the efforts that had been made by political leadership to persuade him, he felt were not properly communicated, or were not properly espoused to him, and so he disagreed. But he wanted people to understand some of the misconceptions, and one of them that kept coming up was this 2 centers of power. And he said that this first came up in Polokwane when it looked like President Thabo Mbeki wanted to have a 3rd term as president, which meant that of the party, the ANC, not of the country, which would have meant, had he won, he would have been president for the ANC for another 5 years, whilst there would have been a different head of state. And he said that it was in that context that we had this issue of 2 centers of power. And so that the idea that the 18 months of a head of state and 18 months of a new president of the party isn't what they meant when they were talking about 2 centers of power. And he said that his understanding was that the head of state would carry on running government, whilst the head of the party concentrated his efforts in dealing with preparing the party for an election, a national election, and that this was the plan, and this what should have always been the case. And he said the example of President Thabo Mbeki and President Mandela showed them the way, and that this issue of getting rid of a president just because he is no longer the president of the ANC didn't make sense to him. And he spent a lot of time trying to explain that. And he also gave a chronology of the way the officials had come to him and they had talked to him, and that he felt that they started to renege on some of the things that they had agreed. And he might at one point been a little robust, and he might not have been as engaging as he should have been. But after seeing those images outside Luthuli House,